course in Fresno State. It's going to go to the computers. Okay?
Sure. Is it just one? Is it just one?
No, he's starting.
All right, good morning. Guess happy Thanksgiving to you. I probably won't see you before then, and might bump into you here and there, but happy Thanksgiving to you and all your families. And it's crazy that we're talking that already, how fast the season's gone. So, just on that note, I guess you always talk about and think about what you're thankful for, and thankful for this season for these guys, and just on your end, appreciate how you do your jobs and report the info on how our program is going through the season and what we have going on, and celebrating these guys and their successes. So appreciate everything you do. Got a great family of my own that appreciate a lot too. So they're football family through and through. So they can't wait for Thursday's game. They've missed a couple due to activities. They get a chance to go up to San Jose and cheer on the Dogs. So any questions?
So, Coach, a unique experience to play on Thanksgiving. Coach Inge told us over the weekend that I guess when he was in high school, when he was in college, they had Thanksgiving games. What's your experience with playing on Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I've been asked that a couple times now, and the first one I said no, and I still think that's the answer. So I don't ever recall playing on Thanksgiving Day. I remember a lot of Thanksgiving morning practices, and there were routines. I was at the same place for 10 years. And most of those years we were playing in a playoff game, in fact, all but one of them. And so you have your traditions and how you do things, and whether it's family or the coaching staff or the practices or with the players. And so I got those traditions, but I've never played on Thanksgiving Day, so this is the start of a new one. But pretty exciting when you think about it. I mean, look at how many games are going to be on TV. And I talked with the guys a week ago about the exposure, that you get, because what do? People have a lot of people have the day off, and they're sitting around eating some food, and what do? Click on the TV and watch some football. So I know there's a couple other games, NFL and so forth, but from a college end, we're one of I think two maybe on TV all day.
In other years, and I know when Coach Tedford was the head coach and you were the OC, players would be able to go home for a couple of days, spend it with their families. I'm guessing you can't do that because of the short week, right? So how do you spend Thanksgiving with the team?
Yeah, you're right. Actually, guys are still in school, here through tomorrow, and Wednesday will be a travel day. So between tomorrow having a kind of a turkey dinner together as a team. And then traveling Wednesday where we'll be on the road together. There's kind of a lot of what ifs after that, and that's where it gets even trickier because I know we've opened it up for guys to be able to have the opportunity to stay with family after the game, but also be ready to get back here and have transportation lined up. If we need to get together Saturday night, finding out that we're moving on and playing, in the Mountain West Conference Championship. So a lot of what-if scenarios, but we're going to enjoy today, and that's what we talked about. We're going to enjoy tomorrow, take it one day at a time, and we talk about being thankful every single week. A lot of that message is just who we are as a football program, and I've brought it up in here, thankful for the opportunity to get to play another game together and to get to be around each other. So a lot of that message isn't something new just for this week. That's something that we talk about from day one, and so starting last January. So, but certainly that time of the year to talk about it, even more.
So you mentioned the what-if scenario. I know you can't control what happens on Friday. You can only control what happens on Thursday, but I assume you'll be watching 9 a.m. on Friday to see what happens between
Right.
San Diego State and Boise State.
Yeah.
Any thoughts going into that game?
Well, as far as them playing and what.
Well, as far as what your plans are going to be for Friday, and
Oh.
also having to root for a team that
Right.
kind of handed it to you a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we. Thanks for adding that in there. And
Well, you asked.
Yeah, I got you. All right, so Yeah, I mean Friday, we'll have a chance, and we'll just keep the staff away from here, be able to spend a little bit of time with our families at home, and obviously, we'll be glued to the TV, but we got to take care of our business first, and then that happens. So, we want Friday morning to be that level of excitement because of what we do on Thursday, and then after that, our staff knows, depending on the scenarios, Friday night, Saturday, what we'll be getting ready for. So, there'll be, I think a lot of it will be decided, I think, by the end of Friday. So we should be good with Saturday morning, rolling with a schedule that we've already kind of discussed when that time comes.
Is everybody healthy? Did everybody use the bye week to get healthy? I mean, you may not be 100% this late in the season, but nicks and bruises and cuts and all that?
Yeah, we aren't 100% healthy. I'll let you know, we won't have Tyson Maeva, for this game. We won't have him for a couple weeks, for sure. He had surgery, and you guys have seen it. I mean, he's every week picked himself up off the turf for over half the season, and it's an injury that just it was just getting harder to recover from each and every week, and so we will not have him this Saturday. So. There might be a couple that maybe there's a small chance they don't play, but I think for the most part we're doing okay.
Would Maeva be available for potentially the Mountain West Championship or a bowl game, or is he done?
He wouldn't be for the Mountain West Championship, but depending on the timeline of the bowl game, possibly. Yep.
Gotcha. Should probably ask you a question about San Jose State with Nick Starkel back. What type of an offense, what type of a threat do they pose? Yeah,
you have to get ready for both quarterbacks. There's no question because they are very different, and they just obviously they won the conference championship with Nick, and very capable. Just watching last year's season and seeing what he did, and just so consistent, especially what he did to enhance the passing game. It's a big deal when he's out there. The other end of it is Nash and what he brings running wise, and so it's he's really a home run threat when he has the ball in his hands as a runner, and very capable passer. So I think the key with both of them is still trying to get some pressure on them. It's just a matter of one of them. You got to be extra. Aware of the escape part, and not letting Nash break contain and move, not just move the chains, but make big plays with his legs. And Starkel will definitely move the chains a lot like Jake. Heady guy, keeps his eyes downfield, keep plays alive, but looking to throw. And he does a really good job at that. He's got a lot of years of experience under his belt, and just seeing, it seems like he's a very confident kind of team leader for them, and can generate a lot of excitement with him being back. We certainly are expecting that.
Coach, just want to clarify, you guys are going to do your Thanksgiving celebration Tuesday night, tomorrow night?
We will have just a normal Tuesday, and there's still classes going on. So we practice in the morning, and so tomorrow morning we'll practice, and then we'll have a lunch, and that will be a Thanksgiving lunch, I guess. I said dinner, but yeah, it's a lunch time frame.
And then how are you going to celebrate with your family Thanksgiving, if you can?
Yeah, I mean, just it would probably be more of a Friday morning, Friday lunch deal. Kind of after the game. They'll come to the game, obviously, but really don't spend much time with them until then.
Right now, we mentioned the scenarios. You have to win. San Diego State has to lose. That happens, you're in. But if Air Force wins as well, then it goes to the computers. So I'm wondering, what do you think of the computers deciding, between you and Air Force? And right now they have they're up by 2 slots.
Yeah, well, if computers have us and if it favors us, then I'm all for it. But
well, not yet.
I know. I think there's very smart people that figure out the best ways to make it fair, and I just trust the leadership of those that make those decisions, and so we just got to make sure, again, always making sure we don't lose focus of what we can control, and our goal, number one goal, is just get in there right now with where we're at and get in the conference championship, do our job to get in, and then obviously an added bonus would be playing at home for sure. So that's a long ways down the road, and I know there's a lot of what ifs.
Now, another long way down the road, the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl does not have to pick the conference champion. And obviously, when it comes to Fresno State Red Wave fans in Southern California, you can sell a lot of tickets doing that. So do you think the LA Bowl should choose Fresno State no matter where you guys finish this week?
That's a loaded question there. Yeah, I mean, obviously we do travel well, especially to Southern California. So I think right now, hopefully we earn our way into that position. And I think depending on what happens, then we worry about that part down the road.
Good morning, Coach.
Morning.
You're playing against a San Jose State team that's playing for bowl eligibility. So for them, this is a playoff game, similar to what your situation is. Do you kind of consider that when you're preparing for a San Jose State team that's going to be motivated to get that sixth and pivotal win?
Yeah, no question. We talked about it in our, when we introduced the next game. That was one of the things. Besides it being a rivalry game and trophy game and what we have at stake, they also are playing for a lot too. All those things, and then their berth or their chance to be bowl eligible. So, a lot of motivation. It's going to be a highly contested game. There's no question. Last game of the regular season, but so much riding on it. So, we got to be ready, and we know we're going to get their best, and we're going to give our best as well.
What are your thoughts on this rivalry from your experience here before as an offensive coordinator and this being your first time playing them as a head coach? What's your experience with the rivalry and what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I know that I think back to 2018, and we were riding pretty high, and I think at halftime we had kicked a field goal right before the half to make it a 3-0 game. Everyone always sees the end of the game, and we did a nice job in the second half, but it was a hard-fought game, and I'm just both coaching staffs are putting so much into it for all the reasons we talked about. But, the history of the rivalry, even before the Valley Trophy existed, J.D. Williams, who's our resident historian on the coaching staff, talked with our team, just about his experiences playing and, the ups and the downs and how important it was and, the cheers that happened on the field, whether it was at your place when they won, and just all those feelings, and really, I think got our guys kind of fired up about what this game's gonna really come down to.
Can you clarify when Maeva had surgery on?
Yeah, I don't want to discuss that. I appreciate the question, but I don't want to discuss
And
it anymore.
another player, Leonard Payne. What is his status for Thursday?
Yeah, he's certainly questionable. He's one of the other guys that there's still a question whether he'll be able to play or not. So.
And can you clarify what the specific injury area is?
His would be lower leg.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Do you have any more questions for Coach DeBoer? No? No? Thanks, sir.
Yep.
Thank you.
Dave, do you want to start us with?
Sure.
How we doing?
Good, Coach.
Good to see you all. Happy pre-holidays. Great to see you all today.
Coach, I'll start with what I asked Coach DeBoer. What are your thoughts on this robbery? I mean, this will be your first time tasting this robbery. What's it going to be like playing San Jose State, and what's at stake here for not only this team this year, but also, potentially the robbery getting a win after losing in 2019?
Well, the biggest thing you always want to think about when you look at your rivalry games is, as you talked about, what's at stake. The number one thing you got to know is just your reputation. And when you come into rivalry games, it's always going to come down to little things and the details, and you keeping your discipline and not getting chippy, and you playing your brand of football. And that's why we love being here at Fresno State. So we really look forward to being able to go there, play in the game. And some of the focuses that we've really done on our end is we put a lot of focus on us and making sure we keep the thumb pointed at us. What do we need to focus on, what we have to do in order to finish. And that's our primary focus, looking at the outcomes of everything. That hasn't been the big picture view for us. We've looked at what's happening on the ground right now.
What does Maeva's absence do to the way you structure your defense? Who's going to step in that role that Maeva filled? And I know you had Maeva missing against New Mexico, so what did you learn in that game in terms of how this defense can operate without Maeva?
Well, the biggest thing that you're always trying to do at a developmental program is make sure that the individuals in your program continue to develop with consistency. And we've been fortunate enough to where all of our positions have that one mission to where you're always developing what we call the next dog in. So you've seen Malachi Langley come in and step in and do the things he's supposed to do to help drive our defense. Without Tyson being there, the standard and expectations won't change. So it's still going to be the person in has got to drive the defense, get the defense called, the line adjusted, make the plays you're supposed to make, and be the best player on the football field.
What kind of read do you get on San Jose State, a team that gave San Diego and Nevada good games, but then also lost to Utah State by 30 points? I mean, what kind of read do you get on this team being a little inconsistent?
Yeah, a great football team that we have a lot of respect for. And you don't have to look far to think about what they did a year ago. We know they've had their bumps and bruises that have gone on throughout the season, but when you push play, you see some dynamic talent, some great athletes, individuals playing hard, and individuals trying to make the plays they're supposed to make, so we have a lot of respect for them. And the biggest thing we have to do is make sure we consistently keep the focus on us, making sure we have all of our details where they need to be.
And last question for me, part of that inconsistency was they were missing their quarterback, Nick Starkel, for a part of the year. So what does Nick Starkel being back do for their offense from what you've seen in the last two games that they've played?
He is just like your quote-unquote, your head coach on the football field. When you don't have your quarterback, it makes some things go off from a consistency standpoint and from a continuity standpoint. So I would assume that's some of the things that they had been enduring and overcoming, and having him back for those couple of games, you can see that they've kind of gotten back on course. So we know that we have to do our job and come out there and be able to play hard and be the best defense on the football field on Saturday or Thursday.
And Nick Starkel is your starting quarterback, but something that I've seen, and probably you know as well, is that they also like to incorporate Nick Nash. Sometimes they could put him just for certain plays. Sometimes he's there for an entire drive. How do you approach that?
Yeah, it's just, the one thing that you know that is going to happen, they're going to have a quarterback on the football field. So what we have to do is just make sure you keep your focus and know who it is. There are specific things that they do when Starkel's on the football field, and obviously then there are some other specific things that they do when Nash is on the field. The one thing you have to do when Nash is out there, you got to be ready potentially for more of your designed quarterback run games and some potential scrambles in the throw game.
Coach, Gabe asked you about Tyson Maeva's absence. You've got a couple of other young guys on the two deep. Kel Sanders, we kind of talked about him going back to week one when I think he was the Mountain West Freshman of the Week. But between him and Tyler Mello, their progression, their development, their talent, what have you seen from those guys? And to put them on the two deep, what does that say about how you guys are relying on them for this particular game?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's one of them scenarios where you have to have bulldogs on the rise in your program. And the two gentlemen that you just brought up in Tyler Mello and Kale, those are individuals who they are primed to be able to be great, and they have bright futures, and we are happy to have them on our football team. So seeing what they've done throughout the course of the season, the one thing we tell our players, once you get through the middle of the season, there is no such thing as a freshman or someone new to the football team, because you become a seasoned veteran and a seasoned part of our organization. So at that point in time, you have to grow up fast, and we've seen that from those two guys, especially thus far.
Is there anybody else that you're hoping to get some playing time in a game like this, or maybe even see progression in practice leading up to the game?
Well, another person who we've seen some of that same growth from, who is right from here in the Valley, Kosi Aguina. He's another one who is literally what we call green and growing, and it is awesome to see their growth, their development, and their insurgence when it comes to them being on the football field, being able to make the plays they're supposed to make.
So when it comes to Friday, how do you approach what your plan is for Friday morning to watch San Diego State and Boise State after what happens on Thursday?
Like the beauty of it, I probably won't even watch the game because it really doesn't have anything to truly do with us. We can't. That's an uncontrollable that we really can't control. So the one thing that I do know is when we control what we control, then everything else will truly take care of itself. We can't put ourselves in a scenario where you minimize or you don't get any rest or you don't do what you're supposed to do. Just being able to. One thing that Coach DeBoer always talks about just for us is just kind of keeping the main thing. And the main thing is just keeping our focal point on the development and leadership of our football team.
Do you have any more questions for Coach Andy? All right. Thank you.
Bam. Thank you. Hopefully you all will have a great Thanksgiving.
See you in San Jose.
How we doing?
Good, Coach.
Awesome.
Good morning, Coach Grubb.
Good morning.
Let's start with this. What's the word of the week? And what does it mean for this week in your team?
Word of the week, really for us on offense, is finish. You know, we've been focusing a lot on that. Just even going back to 19, thinking about how that game finished, and thought we started hot and had to have 14 points. And I think this is going to be one of those football games where there's going to be a lot of passion, and guys are trying to finish the season and finish on our own terms. So we want to see the guys get out there and play full 4 quarters.
What do you remember from that 2019 game, and how important is this one to kind of get the taste out of your mouth from that game, and not only that, but also eventually, you know, hopefully for you guys, go to a Mountain West championship?
Yeah, disappointment. You know, regardless of what the record was at the time, wanted to be able to set the tone for the off season. You know, and at the same time, be able to send the seniors out with a good note on a season like that had some promise and didn't finish the way we wanted to. So it was really disappointing. You know, it felt like you know, offensively we could have gave a better, you know, second half and just won the game for the team.
What's the health status on the offensive line? I know there's a lot of changes going on the offensive line. Can you kind of clarify what some of those changes are and what injuries there are as well?
Yeah, they're all back. Everybody's been practicing, so we're working with a couple different lineups. Dante Atkins has been rolling in at left and right tackle. Torian Penwright's been playing a little bit at left and right tackle. So just taking care of Bull and Akinbulu and making sure they're both ready and fresh for the game, and just taking care of those guys, really. That's been the biggest part. And then, you know, Braylon Nelson's been back at left guard, and, you know, Bula Schmidt is now got his hands fully healed, so we're anticipating him making his start back at center. He's been healthy all week, so excited about that.
So you mentioned you're trying 2 different guys at left tackle. What's the issue with Dante Bull where he's kind of lost that grip of the starting job?
Well, it's not necessarily an issue on Dante as much as it is as the progression of Dante Atkins from a health standpoint. And he's feeling healthy and he's looking really good. So I think there's just some competition there, which is a good thing at this time of the season.
And last question, what does San Jose State's defense present to you guys? And how much of last year's game plan, because you did the game plan for that game that was
Right.
eventually canceled, how much of that is still usable to what they're going to do on Thursday?
Well, I think it's always got at least an element of usability as far as what we had presented. You know, the structure is very similar to last year and has been. Obviously, that's been the same coordinator there for quite a while, and you know, so we definitely pulled that game plan out and evaluated what we liked, why we liked it. You know, what are some similarities that we can use, and you know, some of our mainstay concepts, things like that. And then just had to apply it to see what we liked. You know, and then defensively, I think that. You know, at defensive end, I think 42 Fahoko is, with the exception of Thibodeau 5, I think he's the best kid we've seen all year, and he's a guy you got to have, you know, eyes on at all times. He's very violent. He's an excellent pass rusher, but also can, you know, cause a lot of damage from multiple spots in the run game. And then 92 obviously was one of the best players in the league last year and is a dominant defensive end. So I think it starts with those 2 guys, tons of experience on the back half with 27 and 22. And then I think they got probably one of the more experienced inside linebackers in the league in 45. Tough kid, physical, plays downhill, smart, and very, very productive over the last few years. So we think this is as good a test as we've seen defensively all season. You know, a little bit inconsistent as far as what they've been able to do, but as Coach Inge mentioned, they've been dealing with a lot of injuries, you know, kind of back and forth, but looks like they've gotten themselves to healthy. They got their quarterback back, and it's going to be a whale of a football game.
Coach, belated congratulations on being a nominee for the Broyles Award. What does that mean to you?
That's a team award. It really is. I mean, I think the guys and anybody on our football team, whether it was Coach DeBoer or a player, I think that they would recognize how much work goes into getting any individual on the team any type of attention. So, you know, it's more of a staff recognition to me, and I think I got a great staff on offense, and you know, it's just what those kids put out there as a product every week. That's what it is to me, is getting recognized for what your unit and your team is doing. So it was an honor, but really, honestly, it's definitely a group effort.
I'm sure that Jake, for one in particular, is chomping at the bit to get out there on Thursday. How is he physically? Did the bye week help heal up some of those, cuts and bruises?
Oh, for sure. Jake is he's feeling as good as he has in weeks. I think every guy is probably feeling just a little bit better, a little bit more time in the weight room, recovery, things like that. But Jake's 100%. He looks great. He's been rolling around out there. Got a couple extra throwing sessions in, and he looks fantastic.
And what about Mims? Those couple of weeks when Ronnie was out, he put up some big numbers, but it kind of, put him back a week or so.
Yeah, it did. He's been much better this week than last week. Was able to participate fully yesterday, and we'll expect him to be a full go for the game. So that's been really good. Jordan has had a little bit of time to heal and looks strong.
Do you have any more questions for Coach Brown?
All right. Thank you. Yep.